Hey guys, Mother's Day is coming up pretty quick. Whether it's your mom, your wife, your sister, all moms need to hear they're appreciated and know they're loved. So show how much you care to the lady who taught you everything you know about caring with a Hallmark card. From sweet to sentimental to laugh out loud funny, Hallmark has a card that will help you put your love for mom into words and let her know how much she matters. It's your way of saying thank you for all the sleepless nights and selfless acts of love. Go out and find the perfect Hallmark Mother's Day card today. You can find them wherever Hallmark cards are sold.
Every deck is made for standing on, but there's only one that's always had a way of standing out. So if you're looking to bring more style, comfort, and creativity to your life outdoors, call on the brand that's known for making the most in outdoor living. From decking, railing, and lighting to furniture, fencing, and framing, at Trex, we're engineering what's next in outdoor living. To learn more about all of the outdoor solutions Trex has to offer, call 1-800-289-TREX or visit Trex.com. That's Trex.com.
Kryptonite.
Oh! Stepping, fading, and firing out of bounds. LeBron, a rainbow up and in.
Kevin Love has been playing incredibly well.
Behind the back, it comes to Love into the lane. Laid it in! Behind the back, bouncer to Love for the bucket.
We don't have home court in the Eastern Conference Finals, so we'll be ready for Game 1 no matter if it's in Philly or in Boston.
Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News on a Tuesday morning, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Coming up in just a few minutes, Frank Vogel, former NBA head coach, will join us to find out what is the answer for Toronto. Is it to get rid of a coach or build a new team? Because either way, it's not working, as the Cavs have once again won 10 straight playoff games against the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors were the number one seed, had home court advantage, and lather, rinse, repeat, basically, is what's going on there. Al Leiter will join us in a little bit later, talk about the big series coming up between the Yankees and the Red Sox and other things in baseball. And the Brew Crew, Tedy Bruschi, will be by at 9 o'clock.
And, by the way, it is National Teacher Day.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Yesterday. Oh, yesterday there was something on Twitter that said hug a teacher.
I was told today was National Teacher Day.
All right. I'm all about it.
Do you have a favorite teacher?
Mrs. Frazier.
Mrs. Frazier.
Third grade.
Third grade?
Third grade.
You remember all the way back to third grade?
Third grade, yeah. Third grade, Mrs. Frazier. She let me put it this way. She took no you-know-what.
Oh, wow,
and she gave it instead. And so I was sort of a smart aleck kid. I know that surprises you. I know you're shocked by that.
Stunner.
But Miss Frazier, man, she laid down the law and everybody listened. So I always admired her.
Wow.
Miss Frazier took no guff, and she gave it. And she gave it back and made sure that you were in line. Because,
wow.
You know, at some point you think you're pretty smart and you know what you're doing. And no, Miss Frazier was like, I'm having none of this.
In third grade.
Do you have a favorite teacher?
Yeah, I do. Mr. Robertson, Tim Robertson, God rest his soul, passed away a bit ago, was a math teacher in high school. Also took pictures for all the sports.
Yeah.
Just a great guy. It took pre-calc with him. Now, it was a hard class.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, but as a teacher, he taught obviously well. He's a great teacher, but such a great guy. Really, I mean, so beloved. This is at St. Joe's, now Villa Angela St. Joe's. We merged with Villa Angela. But this was back when it was just St. Joe's. Yeah, he was my math teacher, but did so much more for the school.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a bunch of great teachers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she's always the one that pops in my head.
Yeah, he's the one that kind of pops in my head. Again, some for classroom, but others for all the other things he did for the school as well from a teaching standpoint and helping kids out. So pretty cool day. You know, listen, we don't honor our teachers enough.
Not
that's for sure.
Appreciated enough.
Unfortunately, not in the paycheck area enough. That's for sure. But always good to let your teachers know how much you dig them.
Absolutely, and I will, just one personal aside. You know, our daughter was born with a little bit of a learning defect, and she was she needed some special services all the way through 10th grade. But thanks to the teachers, and especially some of the special ed teachers there, after her sophomore year, she no longer needed special services and graduated as a member of the National Honor Society.
Yeah, I mean, it's what teachers
made a
do.
Huge difference.
You know what they do, what they sacrifice, what they do to help. They go and be above and beyond. It's just fantastic. So obviously, us talking so much sports about athletes and such like that, man. That's teachers and what they're providing, educating our kids and such is and us.
Yeah,
it's great to have that National Teacher Day. So Hug a teacher.
Absolutely. Let a teacher know that if they've made a difference in your life, that you just let them, because that's why they do it. They don't do it for them.
They're not doing it for the money. No.
They do it for anything else. They do it for that. So if teachers made a difference in your life, let them know and just tell them thanks. All right. We got Frank Vogel coming up in a few minutes, but let's get to what's trending. And Enes Kanter, who is, look, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not afraid to say what he feels. I mean, he was held up once because his Turkish passport was, what's the word I'm looking for? Taken away.
Yeah.
Because he said some things about the Turkish president he didn't like. He got held up somewhere for a few hours. Well, he and LeBron have had some interesting Twitter battles and things on the court back and forth. So he's tried an interesting recruiting job for LeBron this offseason. Yeah,
he's in the social media. He said people keep debating about who is the king of New York. He did this in a video posted on Monday. And he says, "Hey, LeBron, yes, you really want to be the king of New York? Come and prove it. I'll see you July 1st, brother. Good luck." He's talking about him signing with the Knicks as a free agent. Yeah. This is the route that he went. Yeah. Enes Kanter. Good luck is right.
I was about to say, I admire the effort.
Yeah.
You might as well shoot your shot.
Throw it out there.
Shoot your shot, Enes.
Give it a shot. You say you tried, right?
Yeah.
And there's zero shot.
I would think the odds are very, 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 very small. But look, there will be changes in New York. Take that for data. We'll see what David Fizdale can do.
By the way, they could never, to get him a max contract, actually Kanter's contract would be one of the obstacles.
Yes, that would be an issue. So it's a nice thought process, and we admire the effort, but we are, as they say, moving on. And so are the Washington Capitals, earning a spot in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 20 years with that 2-1 overtime win over the reigning two-time Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins.
So as Yevgeny Kuznetsov is
God bless you,
taking the puck down the ice, this wasn't a bang-bang play. So he's splitting two defenders, going down the ice. And I asked this question before. I said, how many Capital fans are thinking, oh, my God, with our history, there's no way this is going in? Or some were saying, finally, we're going to do it. I had one guy tweet me that said all the Cap fans knew he was going to do it. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break. The
based on what?
Yeah, exactly.
Based on 20 years of futility?
Yeah, you can't tell me every one of them. There had to be some, with their hands over their eyes, just peeking out,
they
saying,
were hoping.
Could it finally happen? And man, did it happen. One of the great calls you'll hear. It's why we love sports so much. And the Capitals move on. By the way, the most consecutive sports season completed since the last conference finals appearance in any sport for a city. Washington had been 71 seasons completed since the conference finals. Before that, it was Cincinnati with 45. So Washington was well out in the lead with none of their teams making it to a conference final. And finally, here we go as the Capitals will take on the Tampa Bay Lightning.
And we'll finish up what's trending with what happens tonight in Major League Baseball. The Red Sox first and the Yankees second have the two best records in baseball entering this three-game set. The last time teams met with the best two records, or these teams met with the best two records, was June of 2002, when once again the Red Sox were first and the Yankees were second.
And Yankees, they've won 9 straight home games, and I like the continuation of streaks. It was the Red Sox first up until April 20th. They were 17-2 on a run there. And from the 21st to now, the Yankees are 15-1. So both
bad.
Taking their turns here, both top of the heap here. And obviously you hope this kind of battle stays this close for the entire season. Unless you're a fan of either one of the teams, you want to take control of it. But if you're a casual fan or not a fan of either team, you want to see a race all the way down to the end.
Look, these are the teams that a lot of people thought might be the best going into the regular season, along with the Houston Astros, obviously. And what they've been able to do in the American League. But, the Red Sox got off that great start. The Yankees are struggling, and then, 9 in a row, 15 of their last 16 has been absolutely crazy. And we'll see what happens going forward.
So I said, as a 3-game set, I said Stanton over under 8 strikeouts.
I said, I'm going to take the under.
You're going to go with the under.
I'm going to take the under.
Okay. Mike Jr. went with the over on that one. Obviously, if you go 1 over 9, that would be averaging 3
he said
a game.
Hammered the over.
Hammered the over.
Which means he's got to hope for a golden sombrero at some point.
But either way, if it's over by 1, he's still technically wins.
Hammered the over sounds like more than 1 over.
He did go a little above and beyond.
That sounds like 10 or 11.
Yeah, he did. He did go up there in that. We'll have to see.
All right, we'll see what happens going forward with that. But let's bring in our next guest. Frank Vogel is with us, former head coach in the NBA, most recently head coach with the Orlando Magic, began his career with the Boston Celtics. But Frank, before we get into any of that, let me just say I was not aware of your incredible run on the David Letterman show doing stupid human tricks. Twirling a basketball and brushing his teeth at the same time?
Of course. Who didn't do that at 13 years old? I thought everybody did that.
So you were 13 years old when this was. Do you remember the actual date of the program?
I do. It's September 16th, 1986.
Just so you know, Frank, how weird things. There was better than a 70% chance that I was in the studio at the time when you were doing that, because I was a page at NBC in 1986. We were the stupid goofies that stood there in blue blazers and khaki pants and made sure everybody got where they needed to be. So who knew all those years later we would be having a David Letterman, Page, and stupid human contestant reunion right here on ESPN Radio.
That's a big reunion. That's a big deal.
It's huge.
We probably spent some time together that day. That's pretty funny.
And for those that are wondering, because Trey said brushing your teeth and spinning a basketball, it wasn't spinning a basketball on his finger and brushing his teeth with his other hand. It was spinning the basketball on the top of the toothbrush, and then while it's spinning, brushing his teeth with the brush end. Very, very impressive, have to admit.
How did you learn that?
Yeah.
Well, what was the thought process behind, I'm going to take a basketball, I'm going to spin it, I'm going to put it on a toothbrush, and then I'm going to brush my teeth?
Well, I learned it at a basketball camp where an instructor was using a motivational speech to tell all the kids not to be satisfied with an achievement, and that you can do anything in the world if you put your mind to it. And he became good at spinning a basketball, so he said, I'm not going to be satisfied with that. What can I do next? What's going to be my next challenge? So he started spinning on different objects, and I was about the same point in terms of just learning to spin a basketball, and I wanted to challenge myself too. So I learned how to do these tricks.
That's very impressive. And in a segue to that, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything speech didn't work in Toronto because they weren't able to put their minds enough to that one. Thank you. So before we get on the court there, I've talked about this in my sport of football, and I think it goes on everywhere. I'd like your opinion that forgetting the physical part of the game, that you can actually be in the mind of someone, that it can get so bad for a team that you're in a position where you wait for something bad to happen. Do you buy into that?
I think there's certainly an element of that in sports. I don't know how much of it was prevalent in this series, or if it was just the fact that Cleveland played better and LeBron just rose to a level that even he hadn't reached before. But I think that's certainly part of a dynamic like this.
Well, it's certainly part of it, but we'll get into LeBron in a minute, because obviously it's just amazing what he's been doing. But if you're the Raptors, Frank, what do you do? I mean, you have two options. You can either say, well, we got to make a change, so we got to do something, so we'll fire the coach, which looks like that may happen in Dwayne Casey. Or you can be honest about it and say, look, whatever reason we've constructed this roster the way we've constructed it, it really isn't working, so maybe we need to rethink that, because it clearly works in the regular season, but it has not proven to bear fruit in the postseason.
The answer is all of the above. Anybody that is in a situation like this is going to evaluate everything from how can they set up their roster better to have success against LeBron. I think the team is being coached at an extremely high level, and oftentimes when a team is trying to get over the hump of a situation like this, they end up making themselves worse. I've seen it time and time again throughout my 20-year career in the NBA, and they've got to be cautious against doing that. Sometimes just staying the course and making a subtle tweak here and there, can be a difference maker. Maybe OG Anunoby is a better player when he's not a rookie. Maybe they bring in a guy that can match up, maybe a veteran that can match up with LeBron better individually. There's a lot of things you could do. Maybe they shift their roster so they can better combat Kevin Love at the 5, which was an issue for them in terms of, forcing them to go away from some of their strengths. So there's a lot of things you can do roster-wise to improve. And, part of the mindset is you're at an elite level right now. You can't get past this guy. So, are you going to do something that's going to sort of knock you off that perch of not being the number one seed and, take a step backwards as opposed to, trying to take a step forward?
We're seeing LeBron's teammates really play a lot better. Do you think that's more of a function of them just meshing better now, or the opponent of it being Toronto and not the Pacers, of which they struggled?
Well, I think it's a number of things. First of all, the team was basically assembled mid-season, which is remarkable that they're having this level of success. And you have to credit Ty Lue, for defining the role. It's one thing that's always been strong about the Cavs is obviously LeBron's greatness is out there, and they've had Kyrie and K-Love, but the role players have always understood their roles, whether it was making the defensive plays or knocking down open threes, or Tristan rolling to the basket and having his role of being a dominant offensive rebounder and finisher inside. Those guys understanding their roles. It falls on the coach, and Ty Lue has put those guys, giving them confidence and green light in situations to have success. And there was a big jump, obviously, from last series to this series, in terms of those guys understanding their roles. The other thing that was missing last series was they really didn't have George Hill the whole series. And I coached George Hill for 5 years, and he's a terrific basketball player on both ends of the floor. So he's a difference maker for this team. And you saw that last night. You saw that in Game 7 of the Indiana series, and he's giving them a big lift.
Frank Vogel with us, former NBA head coach, breaking down the playoffs. As it looks like LeBron James is playing maybe better than he ever has, Frank. And look, obviously he's been younger and probably been a little more athletic, but I'm not sure his basketball IQ has ever been higher. And the NBA's most valuable player award is probably going to go to James Harden. But if you look at the actual wording of the trophy, more valuable than anybody else, is there any one player that's more valuable to his team than LeBron?
There's not.
I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close,
no,
right?
No, there's not.
Yeah.
He's the best in the world. And, the impact he has, not just with his individual play, but what he does to his team, in terms of, just giving them the confidence and, the IQ that he brings to the table, the mental piece of it, really just separates him from everyone else in the league and, maybe everyone else in the history of the game. And, he's obviously doing some special things. And, I don't know who's going to get the award, but, obviously LeBron's the best player in the world.
As far as moving forward, and that's what we can do when you have a radio and TV show, you don't have to stick with and wait for it to happen. We all don't think that Philly's going to come back. Now it's 3-1 when they were down 3-0, and that it's going to be Boston and Cleveland. So let's look at that for a moment and get a thought from you on that game, that series, and give us the matchups in there that would intrigue you the most of the individual players. Well,
again, as a coach, I'm always reluctant to put the cart ahead of the horse. Philly's not out of it yet, but I understand what you're saying. If Boston matches up with these guys, you got some young athletic guys that can match up with LeBron on the wing, but like the Toronto series, they're still very inexperienced. The one difference I think that Boston has that Toronto didn't really have is what Al Horford brings to the table. One of their Cleveland's sort of secret weapons is when Love slides over to the 5, it just makes everything more difficult for the defense, and it forces a lot of traditional teams to go away from their strengths, like we saw in that Toronto series. And their ability to slide Al Horford over to the 5 when needed, and still have a big time power forward in Morris in there, who's experienced and super talented. Just gives them the ability to match up with that lineup a lot better than what you saw with Toronto and what you saw with a lot of different teams, including my Roy Hibbert team with the Pacers. When they would slide Bosh over to the 5, we always had trouble with that, and that was one of the reasons we couldn't get over that hump back then. So, I think that's the big thing to keep an eye on is, Horford at the 5.
Frank Vogel with us this morning, former NBA head coach, has been in the league and coached for a lot of years. One of the things that's really interesting, Frank, it looks like we're finally going to get something in the West that we've sort of been waiting on since, like mid-February. It's going to be Houston looking to take down Golden State. Look, they both have one more game to win. I get that. And Chris Paul said, been here before, and bleep went bad. We understand that. But in all likelihood, there's a very strong possibility that it will be Golden State and Houston. Are you convinced that Houston can give Golden State more than they've had to take in any of the recent 3 or 4 years to get back to the conference finals? I mean, the finals in general, sorry.
Well, I definitely am. And, I thought the best chance any team had against Golden State was San Antonio before Kawhi went down. But now I think they're going to face the second best chance or what could be a better chance of having a worthwhile opponent. And Houston has done special things this year, and what James Harden has done, and then adding Chris Paul. Chris Paul brings, like I was saying earlier about about LeBron. Chris Paul brings the mental piece, that really just elevates his group, and just has a way of figuring out games and can beat you on that alone, So they're a complete team. They've got lengthy wing defenders, which you need against Golden State, switchability. Obviously the Capella and Harden combo is as good as anything in the league right now. And, they're definitely going to be a formidable opponent. It's going to be a great series.
Frank
if it gets there.
Yeah, when it gets there. Right. That's the coaching. I get that. I understand that. Frank, as we go to break here, the last and most important question, can you still spin a basketball while brushing your teeth on the toothbrush?
Of course I can. Like riding a bike, and it's very popular when, you have all your daughter's friends in the backyard and you want to do some backyard tricks.
Or as they were called at the time, stupid human tricks.
That's impressive.
Frank, we appreciate you being with us this morning. Glad to have that Page reunion here. That was worthwhile.
That was great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Decking, railing, lighting, furniture, fencing, framing. At Trex, we make the most in outdoor living because you deserve to get more from your life outdoors. So why not start bringing your ideas to life now with the brand that's engineering what's next? To learn more about all of the outdoor solutions Trex has to offer, or to find a local retailer or a certified Trex Pro deck builder near you, visit Trex.com. That's Trex.com.
Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. I just messed that up. On the Shell Pennzoil
Good song here. Very fitting song.
Yes, I wonder why we play a Bruce Springsteen song. Oh, I know why. Because Al Leiter of the Major League Baseball Network, longtime pitcher in the majors, joins us. And we'll get into what's going on in the majors in a minute. But Al, congratulations. New Jersey Sports Hall of Fame. Well done.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I'll tell you what, Trey. There are moments, and Mike, I'm sure you've had them. I guess you get a chance to do something as I did as a baseball player, and you get recognized by your home state. And the induction ceremony was a couple days ago. And Bruce Springsteen, Stevie Van Zandt, they had it all covered. Singers, Debbie Harry from Blondie, and Gloria Gaynor, and it was one of those pinch me moments for me in my life. And,
okay,
wow.
So hold on. Let's just get this straight.
That is cool.
Bruce Springsteen and Steve Van Zandt weren't enough. They also got Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive, Deborah Harry from Blondie.
Yeah.
Dude, they rolled out pretty big for you.
Hey, don't forget Buddy the Cake Boss.
Yes, Cake Boss.
Him.
Small little state, and I'll say this, Mike. But you're from Ohio?
Yes.
Ohio.
Cleveland,
okay,
yes.
So all the years of playing baseball, I always found myself having to defend New Jersey, right? We're about it all jokes. Joe Piscopo introduced me. Funny, Witch Exit, his character on SNL. And I gave up because, unless you travel a little bit around the state of New Jersey, you realize that it's not just Lincoln Tunnel and the gas pipes of Linden leading to Newark Airport. So, it was pretty cool. We got a small state, a lot of people, and some really, really great people who've accomplished a lot of things. Springsteen was there to introduce Stevie Van Zandt, and just a great night. Yeah, one of those moments.
The New Jersey Hall of Fame, again, a native of Berkeley Township in New Jersey. This is a great stat. Went to Central Regional High School, once threw back-to-back no-hitters, and followed that up in a 13-inning, 32-strikeout game. So how did your arm not fall off?
Yeah, he's basically the Johnny Vandermeer of New Jersey high school
smokes,
pitching. That's very
unreal.
well done.
You know what? And thank God, I have a son in high school. Thank God they did not allow a high school coach to leave kids as long as they did for me. I can't imagine, Mike, how many pitches I threw that day because I struck out 32. The guy I was facing, he struck out 18. We had 50 combined strikeouts. I had to have thrown 200 pitches that game.
That's nuts.
So thankfully, finally, people are wising up and realize that can't be good for a 17-year-old arm.
Wow. By the way, how bad does the guy who struck out 18 have to feel bad? I struck out 18 and I lost by 14K. I mean, that's unbelievable, Al.
Yeah, he was good too. I think he got drafted. His name was John Spinapar, heck of a football player, All-State from Wall Township, and he was good. I remember, tough kid.
All right, so
no, there was nothing bad about that day.
No, nothing bad. Nicely done. So congratulations again. MLB Network will have the national telecast of the Red Sox at Yankees tonight, and on Thursday, Bob Costas, Jim Cat on the call. So more on. Let's talk about the Red Sox and Yankees here for a minute. Look. The Red Sox got off that blazing hot start, Al, and then the Yankees have just steamrolled everybody, 15 of 16. I mean, this is pretty much what you live for, right? These are the names and the teams that you want to see doing well as we get into really the warmer summer months here.
Yeah, exactly, Trey. Listen, I always thought about rivalries, right? I mean, the Red Sox-Yankees will be forever eternal rivalries because mostly, not just because they're, a 3-hour drive up 95 from New York to Boston, but they're always competitive and they're always good for the most part, certainly these last few years. Did the rivalry get a little less aggressive, I think, since the Red Sox have won 3 World Series? Since 2004, probably. I think there was always a little chip on the Boston fan about New York, and the Yankee fans will rub it in your face. But certainly, I think what elevated for me watching these two teams was what happened to Tyler Austin. It kind of showed emotion in a time in a game where you don't see emotion anymore. You have umpires coming out because of instant replay. There isn't, the fights, the brawls, the intensity, and quite frankly, the aggressive kind of ways of someone living in certainly New York, New Jersey, and the Northeast. They kind of like that. So when I saw that, not to encourage fights, I'm not. And I actually think it was kind of ridiculous. This isn't the days of when Hal McRae would take Willie Randolph and literally bop him out into left field. I kind of like that. I think people want to know that their players are into it and can get mad and show the emotion that's needed for, even though it's not a contact sport, you have to play with aggression. I mean, there's a little white ball that's 5.5 ounces. Guys throw it 100 miles an hour, and you can get hurt. So you have to play with intensity. And this series has every bit of that. These two teams are right now the best teams in baseball.
Do you still get the air of that? I know players play hard, it's 162 games, but the air with the fans as well. This is like game, 35, and these two teams play together 19 times during the season. So when you were there early in the season, did it still have that air as much as late in the season when the meaning maybe even more on those games?
Yeah, good question. I'll tell you, I live in New Jersey, and just watching the Yankees, and this is a likable team. It really is. I think even for people who don't want to like the Yankees or aren't Yankee fans, what they did last year with the kids, it was an accelerated process for the Yankee organization to eventually say, wait a minute, with these young kids and Gary Sanchez and what Didi Gregorius has been doing phenomenal after the retirement of Derek Jeter and certainly Aaron Judge, hey, we got a good team here. And we have a young ace, Cy Young pitcher in Luis Severino. And they accelerated it by, trading for Sonny Gray. They brought in Todd Frazier. And, we know what happened last year, one win away from the World Series, losing to Houston. I think with this team, people are paying attention. I keep hearing about baseball, maybe, not having, the fans and, everybody's distracted. They can't watch a 3-hour game. I don't know about that because I'm talking to people who aren't into looking at the box scores every day. And they say, hey, did you see the game last night? Did you see the game last night? So with that, I think there's a better focus on baseball. I really do. I know the NBA playoffs are going on in hockey, but at least here with what the Yankees are doing, and you make a good point with early in the season, it's generally not as interesting as September.
Right.
I think there's a nice buzz to this. There really is with both of these teams.
No, you're right. And look, baseball is different than almost every other sport. Is there are certain franchises that they need to do well for it sort of rise all boats. A high tide rises all boats. And it feels like when the Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, and even the Cubs, can get interesting suddenly, and the Cardinals, everyone's pays more attention to Major League Baseball. One of those teams that's really doing well, as we're talking to Al Leiter of the MLB Network, is the Angels. Look, they have Albert Pujols going over 3,000 hits for his career with 600 homers, one of only 4 people to do that. But then you have what Shohei Ohtani's been able to do. And Al, it really has been remarkable. He was lit up in spring training, but here he is hitting over 300. He's got 4 wins. What's impressed you the most about what Ohtani has been able to do?
Hitting. The end. Great story. There's no doubt about it. I think people thought that Houston would just roll, especially with Verlander being there,
right.
From day one. Shohei Ohtani, my feeling has been, and I know right now I'm wrong because he is batting 340 with four home runs. I just watched him on a lot of tape when he was in Japan. As we do at the network, we do breakdowns and demos and things. And I, immediately said, absolutely, this guy's going to be a premium front-end starter. I don't know how premium as far as with all the respective major league pitchers, but he's got the stuff. 95 to 100, great split. I like the fact that he's got 2 breaking balls. I didn't think I'm going to still say it. I don't think he can sustain a career on both sides, mostly because why the heck has nobody else been able to do it since Babe Ruth? It is not that easy. The training that these guys go through every single day, the arm care as a pitcher and your routine of workouts and throwing and long toss and all of that leading up to your start is one thing. And now you got to get in the cage. You got to get extra hitting. You have to do the things that major league hitters do every day that people don't see 3 hours, 4 hours before the game. I just think I just don't know if it's possible. But as I say that, he's doing great on both sides. So I think it's a great baseball story. It really is.
Let's stay with that team. We're talking to Al Leiter, 2-time All-Star, 3-time world champ, again inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Albert Pujols, 3,000 hits. He's there, one of only 4 to go 3,000 hits, 600 home runs. We had John Smoltz on yesterday, and basically Pujols kind of owned him, hitting 368 against him. You owned Albert Pujols.
Yeah, you did. Jersey pride, baby.
1 of 11 against you. So, Al, tell us how you owned a guy that's going to just walk right into the Hall of Fame.
Mike, you're setting that up. I would never say I owned Albert Pujols. No way. Maybe I got lucky. 11 at-bats is not enough. I think I retired about when no, I guess he had a few years in. I don't know. You know what? Guys like Albert, Vladimir Guerrero, who had a tough time with me. I was goofy in a way that I wasn't your typical left-hander. I busted guys in. I had a cut fastball that was almost as fast as my fastball. And most of the guys that want extension and swing big and go yard ball, I like those guys. I like facing McGuire and Sosa and Canseco and any other guy that tried to hit the ball out of Yellowstone because of my approach. No. I'm not going to go there with you, Mike. Listen, I thought you were going to tell me about 3,000 hits or 300 wins because, as we go further along and watch the sport evolve, I definitely think the 300-game winner is out. CC Sabathia will be pitching the 3rd game against Porcello, who's had a great rebound early on the Thursday game against the Yankees. We're not going to see that anymore, fellas. I think 250 at best is going to be the new 300. But certainly King Albert getting the 3,000 hits, what a guy. And I know he's been banged up the last few years, with a variety of injuries, but he was a heck of a hitter.
He certainly was, but he never had Bruce Springsteen show up to his State Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Yes. Just throwing it out there. Al, we appreciate you being with us. Again, Red Sox Yankees tonight on the MLB Network. Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, you guys.
I'm a one-trick pony. Literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter. When Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la. Aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
I think it would be we're changing the coach, and if we feel like we need to change the team, we're going to change the team as well.
We'll leave the last word from researcher Brett. Brett, would you like to share it? Because I thought it was a really good line.
Yeah, Raptors traditionally do not do great in survival mode.
There it is.
Drop the mic moment.
That
Sports
was very
Center,
good, Brett.
Brought to you by Amazon. Mother's Day is coming. Instead of getting her the same expected gifts, find millions of gifts as unique as her on Amazon. You get free shopping on eligible orders over $25. Shop now at Amazon.com/Mother's Day.
Again, that was a great little nugget that Brett dropped about the Raptors losing in Game 4 when they had to win or keep going. The Raptors normally don't do well in survival. Nicely done, Brett. Nicely done. That's why we play Brettomology, by the way.
That's exactly
Tomorrow
right.
At 7:45 Eastern, Stanzik?
Tomorrow's a big day.
7:30?
Give or take.
Brettomology Day. Yeah. We get ready for the big
staff outing.
Staff outing to the
Yard Goats game.
Thank you for finishing my sentences because I don't know what I'm saying
Thank
here.
You. We're gonna call it a post-show meeting.
We are
a leadership conference.
There you go.
There you go.
And that's going to happen.
That
by
is
the way.
also going to happen.
Yeah. Tomorrow after the show, we're heading over to Dunkin' Donuts Park for the Yard Goats against Tim Tebow's led the
Binghamton Rumble Ponies.
Thank you. The Rumble. I can't get over that name.
Yeah. Carousel capital of the world.
It's amazing that Binghamton, New York is the carousel capital of the world. That's why they're called the Rumble Ponies.
Yeah.
You're sure about that?
Yes, 100%.
This isn't a Brettomology where you're making one of the answers up.
They put it. It was one of the many options online for the name of the team, but they went with the Rumble Ponies because of the carousel.
Devin, you're from Binghamton?
Yes, sir, I am.
And so that's a true story.
Oh, yeah. There's multiple carousels around the city.
There you go.
Wow.
All off the Vestal Parkway.
Oh, there's some in Binghamton.
Yeah, downtown
Binghamton,
the Shenango Street, maybe.
Yeah.
Red Park.
A little bit.
607 shout out.
Let's be the carousel capital of the world.
I don't know. Maybe I bet you those because those horses on the carousels are kind of freaky.
Oh, are you
that's
kidding me?
what got Rod Serling on the Twilight Zone.
Yes, absolutely.
Imagine if you will. Anyway, that's a whole different story.
Wow.
So we talked about this with CC Sabathia, something that a baseball player can say that maybe a football player never could. CC Sabathia said if the Yankees win the World Series and ride that ticker tape parade one more time as they did in 2009, it will be his final act. Quote, I want one more parade and pretty sure that will be it. I thought I had it last year. So in other words, he's 37 years old, and he's saying if the Yankees win it all, he's calling it a career.
He's looking for an out, right?
Yeah.
Sitting there with 239 wins, a hell of a career, no doubt about it. Spent a ton of time in Cleveland before going to the Yankees. It's interesting to kind of call your shot. I wonder how many football players are on a really good team and are coming to the end of their career would say, boy, if we win the Super Bowl, I'm retiring.
I believe the most recent thing I can remember, Brett, you have to look up the year, but I remember Tiki Barber. It sort of came out during one season. I can't remember it might have been 2007 when they actually won the thing, or it might have been the year before, 2006.
Because it's a weird thing to have that.
He was like, I was done.
To have that in your mind to say, you know that you have an expiration date on your career should you hit this mark.
Yeah.
And if not, then you have to kind of redo it in your mind. Wait, okay, I got to start this whole off-season thing over again if I'm going to continue playing.
And let's be clear, I think it's different in baseball than it is in other sports because if you try and, especially if you're a pitcher, you just got to roll out there every 5 days. But, as Bill Parcells once said in football, when you're thinking of retirement, you're already retired. But he actually got that from Marv Levy. The difference is, in football, if you try and coast through that year, you're going to get your butt kicked.
If you coast through the year, yes. But to me, why players retire in any sport is the offseason.
Yeah.
They don't want to go through the work anymore to prepare for the season. And in every sport, your offseason is your most important time, and that's when you're working your hardest, no matter what sport you are in.
And what makes it different in football is in football you always practice way more than you actually play. Coming up, we'll ask one of Tom Brady's former teammates what he thought of the Met Gala outfits.
Hey, guys, Mother's Day is coming up pretty quick. Whether it's your mom, your wife, your sister, all moms need to hear they're appreciated and know they're loved. So show how much you care to the lady who taught you everything you know about caring with a Hallmark card. From sweet to sentimental to laugh out loud funny, Hallmark has a card that will help you put your love for mom into words and let her know how much she matters. It's your way of saying thank you for all the sleepless nights and selfless acts of love. Go out and find the perfect Hallmark Mother's Day card today. You can find them wherever Hallmark cards are sold.
Every deck is made for standing on, but there's only one that's always had a way of standing out. So if you're looking to bring more style, comfort, and creativity to your life outdoors, call on the brand that's known for making the most in outdoor living. From decking, railing, and lighting to furniture, fencing, and framing, at Trex, we're engineering what's next in outdoor living. To learn more about all of the outdoor solutions Trex has to offer, call 1-800-289-TREX or visit Trex.com. That's Trex.com.
The energy I think that TJ brought was huge for us.
Wide open three, right side, it's good. Splashdown, TJ McConnell.
Gotta give a lot of credit to TJ. He came in and he changed everything.
TJ McConnell barking to the crowd. We're not done yet, is what he says.
There's no better player to help catapult the start of the game than TJ.
I was just trying to do anything I can to get us a win.
Golic and Wingo with you on a Tuesday morning, ESPN Radio and ESPN News. We are, as always, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Tedy Bruschi joins us in the studio. What's up, bro?
What's going on?
How are we, partner?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah,
you look good. Maybe not as good as Tom at the Met Gala, which we're going to get into, but you look good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you looked all right. By the way, I don't think I've seen you since you sent me the clip.
You've ever told me I look good.
You look good.
The clip. He sent me the most unbelievable clip because Tedy's team always runs the Boston Marathon, race stroke awareness.
Right.
Obviously, Tedy, a stroke survivor.
Right.
But that video you sent me of them crossing the finish line, when that wind was just whipping in their face and the rain it was unbelievable.
Yeah, you could see the rain going on the street from right to left, away from the finish line, and they're still just plugging through with their ponchos and running across the finish line.
I can't believe
impressive.
For people who are running it for a first time or novices at doing it, that the one day comes and that's the weather you get. After all the training you have to do for something like that, and then that's the weather you get for the one day, and you want to run it because you trained, so you want to go out there and try and get it done.
It's around 40 degrees, torrential rains, because I think I call the Boston Marathon the Super Bowl of road races because it's hard. There's Heartbreak Hill, and you never know what the weather is going to be. I've run it twice. And it's been 89 degrees, 82 degrees, of course, then the weather this year being the 40 degrees and the rains and the wind. You never know what you're going to get with the weather. And that's really the big challenge of it, because in New England, you're training for it if you're there.
Yeah.
And it's cool through the winter and it's cold. But then if you get the heat, you're just not used to it.
The year you ran it,
it was 89. It was 89 degrees.
Yeah,
right.
89 degrees. You ran it with Heidi, right?
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, this guy, they ran the race together, and they were together at the end, and he made sure that Heidi finished first.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't?
I didn't. That's false, actually.
Okay.
Actually, we had
fake news?
Oh, yeah, here it is. Well, we're holding hands as we're crossing the finish line, and she actually burst on me.
Oh,
did she really?
And our official time, I don't know, it was 5:20 or something like that, but hers was 1 second faster than mine.
There you go. We're all
she's got that for me.
Really? That is it. You said that time. My wife ran the New York Marathon once. I think she ran in 5:20.
Yeah.
So your wife, she did that to you.
She burst on me.
Yeah. No way.
She got it 1 second.
Yeah. Don't mess with Heidi. Don't mess with Heidi.
That is awesome.
All right, we have a lot to get into with Tedy, but let's quickly get through what's trending first and foremost. And how about this? After sweeping the Raptors, LeBron says he will never lose faith in his teammates.
Oh, what's he going to say?
Exactly.
I mean,
I'm going to lose
seriously.
faith in my teammates.
I mean, what is he going to say when he's asked this? Yeah, these guys stink. I have no faith in them at all. All they can do is have faith. I mean, what good is it going to do you, no matter what he thinks privately? What good is it going to do you to show that anywhere publicly or even in the locker room with your teammates? I mean, why would you ever do that? I don't care what sport you're in. Yeah. If you're in a team sport, you're going to show that you have faith in your teammates. You go home and complain about it to your wife or your family if you want, but you're certainly not going to be doing that.
As long as they keep making their shots, I got faith in them.
Absolutely.
71% they shot from the floor.
Yeah, they were
You better
fantastic.
have faith in them when they shoot 71%. Continue what's trending. They're awaiting who they'll play in the Eastern Conference Finals because the Sixers extended the series, avoiding the sweep. Joel Embiid got a little saucy in the win over the Celtics. He and Celtics' Terry Rozier were separated in the first half encounter on Monday, each receiving technical fouls.
Yeah, it was really good. Rozier got called for the foul against Red. It kind of hit him in the face, and as the play stopped, Embiid went over there to try and get the ball away from Rozier because he wanted to keep the flow of the game going. And the 6-footers just started pushing, the
7-footer.
the 9-footer, and this is what Embiid had to say.
Tried to punch me twice, but too bad he's so short that he couldn't get to my face. I didn't understand why it was double technical because I was just trying to get the ball and he was the one trying to swing.
Yeah, well, but it's like anything else. If you're a foot taller and you swing, you're probably going to get it.
He hit him with a short choke, but then how about Marcus Morris kept hitting him with the 3-0. That was
classic.
phenomenal.
That's classic.
3-1 now.
Stuff. Yeah, it is.
And yes, Washington, D.C. sports fans, it actually happened. The Capitals advanced to the conference finals for the first time in 20 years, and I loved Alex Ovechkin's line. Thank God this happened.
Man, you're not kidding. I mean, Kuznetsov, when he, again, is splitting the defenders and going down the ice, I really, really wonder, the Capital fans, if they were confident or not because of all the negativity they've had there. And again, Washington just stopped their 71 consecutive sports seasons of all their sports of not going to a conference final.
Yeah.
So the next closest was Cincinnati with 45.
It's got to feel good to get over the hump like that.
Holy smokes.
You got a nemesis.
Well, listen, that has been a problem. And, of course, the other issue of that is Toronto still has their nemesis in Cleveland. They've lost 10 straight playoff games. They've been ousted by them the last 3 years. Okay, that's what's trending. As we said, the Brew Crew with us. Tedy Bruschi joins us in studio giving us a Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. You always look good. We want to be clear about that. Clean cut, sharp.
No time, man.
You got some earth tones going today. I like it. Very nice. So when you saw your guy Tom, black suit, the gold lapels, what were you thinking?
I think I always think to myself, is that something I could wear?
Yeah. Oh, you could pull it off.
I could rock that.
You could
pull
that.
it.
I could.
Because the black hair, we sort of made fun that he looked kind of like a Bond villain. I think with the black hair and a little salt coming in there now, you'd look really good.
I saw Shefty put his head on Tom in a post on Instagram and sort of who did it better.
That's a hard pass.
Put my head on that.
That would work.
So you could pull that off.
I could pull that off.
Any doubt?
There's got a little El Guapo to it. I heard you guys talking about the three amigos.
Guapo. Any doubt though? Giselle picked that. Any doubt Giselle picked that out though? I mean,
I would think that's the way it goes.
Believe, right?
I would think that's the way it goes. My wife often will pick out, my stuff and all that. So the gold matched the dress, the little. I don't know what you call that
on the lapels.
What
he
the
had.
Design is
accent
called.
piece, lame.
What the design
we in the sports world aren't really fashion.
I'm with you, but it does match her dress.
Tom is.
So, yeah, that. So look.
It certainly was a look.
Look at that.
Quite honestly,
man, look at that.
Quite honestly, was some of the thing. Again, it was the kind of heavenly body theme. Rihanna was in a bedazzled Pope outfit, so what Tom has on is relatively tame compared to some of the stuff that was going on there.
Lost in all of this discussion as we're looking at the footage one more time about the outfit, there's a lot of product in his hair right there.
A lot of product.
There is not a hair that will move.
Does that symbolize the pearly gates? I don't know.
Maybe heavenly body. That's nicely done.
You had
this is why
it was interesting.
You
and at $30,000 a pop. That's why none of us were there.
Correct.
Yes,
also true.
$30,000.
But again, and look, it's whatever. If you want to do that, that's great. But it was money to raise money for people wearing costumes to help costumes.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. So good for them. Okay. So let's go on the field here for a minute, Brew. There's a lot to get into here. But I heard you yesterday on NFL Live, and we discussed this a little bit on the show earlier about these contract numbers for quarterbacks and where they're headed, whether it's what we saw with Kirk Cousins and his money, and now, of course, Matt Ryan is now the king of the getting paid the most by a quarterback, and he's going to get $100 million guaranteed in this next deal. You raised an interesting point about the tipping point with these contracts and against cap space for quarterbacks in the NFL. How concerned are you about that?
Well, you think about what it does to the other players. I mean, quarterbacks, I don't think they're in the same conversation anymore as positional players, linemen, linebackers, those type of guys. And I've been saying this for a couple years, how, quarterbacks almost deserve their own salary cap. I mean, I don't know, they do it certain ways in the NBA, but it's just getting to the point where the discrepancy from them and everyone else on the team in terms of what the salary is, what the percentage of taking up the cap is, that there needs to be a way where these quarterbacks are just different. So, I mean, of course, I'm saying this for more opportunity and more money for the positional players, but it's just getting out of control in terms of $30 million a year. Aaron Rodgers is next. I mean, why should he take any type of a discount in terms of whatever all the other quarterbacks are doing? It seems like, the quarterbacks and the quarterbacks agents get together. It's your next. You got to be higher than the last guy, and it's going to continue to go up and up to where, you got guys taking up 15+% of the salary cap, and it can hinder a team.
Well, Bill Polian came on the show yesterday and said 18% is the number to him. If a quarterback takes up 18 or more, he goes, then we start to have issues. Jimmy Garoppolo, this to me blows my mind more than anything. Jimmy Garoppolo, now listen, he's off to a nice start, but it's a start, okay? Right. 7 starts, basically. He takes up the most percentage of the cap at 18.8%. So
There is no positional player if they just had 7 starts, and even though they look good in 7 starts, they would never get this type of contract.
But don't you think that we're at the point, and ball players are at the point of just understanding that, and you measure yourself against your position? Like the first thing when Norwell got his deal as a guard, the first thing everybody thought was, okay, well that's Zach Martin's starting point. Okay, right. Le'Veon. Now people are trying. Jimmy Graham tried to say I'm not a tight end, even though it was in his bio and on his
about a receiver.
And Le'Veon Bell is trying to get paid as a running back and a receiver. But don't you think all players kind of have it ingrained that it's by their position, their money?
They do, and they see these quarterbacks getting these absurd amounts of money. They deserve it. I mean, congratulations to Matt Ryan.
Sure,
and all these quarterbacks that are getting this money. I got a philosophy. It's either the owners or the players.
Yeah, right.
So whatever they can get is great.
Yep.
But you look at the quarterback just as different. The quarterback's different in terms of responsibility. The quarterback's different in terms of his media obligations. He's different in terms of his salary and all of that stuff. So I think all of the non-quarterback players, I don't think you get irritated or resentful in any way seeing them getting paid that much, because you just know that's a quarterback position that's different. And like Golic's saying, I'll just look at my position, the linebacker position, and see what the market is there.
Yeah, but as Tedy Bruschi is joining us in studio, do you think the NBA has the Larry Bird exemption basically against the cap, that you can sign one player? Brett, do you have the wording of that exactly?
So you have to be on the same team for 3 years, and then your team can go over the cap to sign a guy.
Okay.
Without penalty.
Without penalty, and that gives them more flexibility to keep other players, right?
Yeah, and then they get creative over the summers where they'll let a guy, they'll sign free agents and not re-sign their own guy, and then they'll re-sign their own guy and go way over the cap.
Right.
So do you think something like that might be coming to the NFL? Because there's clearly money to spare.
I think it's got to be. This position is just different. It's the most difficult position in sports. It's got to be up there. I mean, you're starting to pay them what they deserve. I agree with what they're getting. They do deserve this much money. And I had ESPN stats and info guys look at it, and it was no quarterback since 2000 has won a Super Bowl being 13% over the cap.
Right.
So you get to Garoppolo's 18%. I mean, in that 1 year, you have to hit on those young guys in the draft. You better be having young guys that have been drafted second, third, fourth round that are major contributors that have those low salary cap, hits to where, because you have so much being taken away from a quarterback. So that's the formula. If you have someone taking up so much percentage of the cap.
Yeah, or you strike while the iron's hot. You get a Russell Wilson who's a third rounder, and you make hay before he makes money. Or even if it's a first rounder or a first pick like Jared Goff, look at all the money they're spending because they have a couple of more years before they have to pay him.
Wentz,
the only problem, and I'd be interested in what you guys think of this, is if you don't count a quarterback, that the owners do we think what are the owners going to do then? They're going to have to spend more money. So say the cap is at 177 and you're not counting $30 million a year from Matt Ryan, then that money, because you still have to do a minimum, has to go back to more players. So now you're spending way more than the 177 cap if your quarterback isn't counting. You think owners are all of a sudden going to say, "Oh, sure, I'm all for that. Let's give the players more money."
All the players would love that. Yeah. Get that quarterback out of here.
Owners don't want to. Owners wouldn't want to do that.
I think some owners.
You think
will.
so?
I think some owners will. In the question, I feel like Robert Kraft would do that. I think Jerry Jones would do that.
Robert Kraft doesn't have to. His quarterback's been too busy not taking as much as.
That's the beauty of it. But I think there are certain owners who would love nothing more than to find a way to step up. Now, you're right. I think a lot
pay
of
more then,
but a lot of them would not want to, and there's certainly some franchises you can think of right away that would go down that road. Yeah. The Bengals certainly come to mind, but there are certainly franchises that I think, if they were afforded that opportunity, if it helped them win at any cost possible, I think they would go down that road. Tedy Bruschi with us in studio, and to your point about 13% being the highest cap for a quarterback that's ever been on a Super Bowl winning team. This year, the highest percentage cap-wise, Jimmy Garoppolo at almost 19%, Andrew Luck at over 16%, Matthew Stafford at almost 15%, Russell Wilson 14%, Joe Flacco 14%, Eli at 13.5%, and Drew Brees at 13.1%. And on that entire list, you think the only one that might have a realistic chance would be Drew Brees with the team that's around him, right?
Yeah, the ones that are up there, you hope for great coaching and good younger players, like I was saying. I mean, when is Rodgers due for his? Is it this year?
He
Is
has
it
one
next
more year.
offseason?
I think he has one more year left.
Yeah. What are those numbers going to be? I mean, it's
ownership is what I always say. Ownership.
And you know, and the shame of it is where we've gotten to is when someone like Tom Brady does what he does, someone like Tim Duncan does what he does with the Spurs, all of a sudden these great players get looked at and say, hey, why don't you think about the team a little bit? And they shouldn't have to, man. You should be able to make the money you can make.
Right.
But then they get, well, wait a minute. See what Brady's doing? Look at the rings on his finger, Aaron. How about a little hometown, discount to help the team out? And maybe for some, it puts them in a tough position of how then they're viewed if they don't do that. When my thought is, man, get your money while you can get your money.
That's when you take that hard line when you're up at that press conference and say, I let my agent handle all of this. I just stand behind whatever he decides to do, and I just worry about football.
Yeah.
You give that line.
Yeah, and listen, sometimes that works. Tedy Bruschi with us in studio. Did you guys see the footage yesterday of Gronk on Twitter?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what that weapon was that he was firing, but it was going off, man. Yeah. And of course, it's been a somewhat of a turbulent off season for the Patriots, but now that it's all sort of settled, Gronk is coming back. As you predicted, Golic, I will give you all the credit in the world.
Thank you.
Tom is coming back, Bill is coming back. Do you think that all the stuff that came out right around the Super Bowl and, right afterwards, that, and Tom not being appreciated and Gronk not sure if he's going to come back, do you think all that is officially behind them now and they have what it takes to get back to that game again?
I think with a lot of players, the emotional season's ending.
Yeah.
The emotional season in terms of when the season ends and you contemplate things after you've lost a Super Bowl, you contemplate things a little bit more. It hurts and it takes a little while to get over a Super Bowl loss. You start complaining, you start thinking contract, you start thinking your own situation. You're around your kids more and you realize oh man, this is great. Yeah. This is great. Do I want to go back? I went through this process. I played 13 years and that 11th, 12th off season, it's like, man, how many more? I got all three of my sons on my lap, things like that. But then we're in May. The football calendar, April, February, March, April, that's the emotional time. You get into May, you get into June, you start smelling grass.
Yep. Yeah.
Around here, you're walking around campus and you start smelling.
I call it the bait
your
and switch
allergies start
season
going
here.
a little bit, you see the blooms coming off the trees and you smell the grass that's been freshly cut. You think football.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. Yeah. This is the time. So I think a lot of the drama's over with. Sometimes there's just more outlets now to get out what you feel immediately and how you're feeling at that moment. And this is the time where you get back to business.
And I'm with you. As soon as you walk back in at that time, you realize, okay, now it's football. And to that point, I don't care how successful you are. And you guys were unbelievably successful. You can't tell me there's ever been a year where all 53 guys and the coaches hold hands at one point and sing Kumbaya. That just doesn't happen,
No.
all right? There's always some things that are going on, but the bottom line is that you put it aside for the greater good, and that's to win a championship. So all this talk, and because I agree with you, there's just more outlets to now, we're seeing inside a little bit. It's there in every team. Yeah. There are little cracks in every team, but it's who can put anything aside and realize this is we are all playing for one goal.
When Romeo Crennel was our defensive coordinator, he says, guys, whatever happens in this building, whatever happens on the sideline, don't take it personal.
Yeah.
We love you, but we say to you sometimes, don't take it personal because it's just about that situation and what happened, and it's about business, football games, whatever it may be. And it's hard sometimes. Sometimes you do take it personal.
You bite a hole through your lip, don't you?
Yeah,
you do.
No, you're not always holding the hand. Sometimes you're slapping each other.
Exactly
and
right.
Each other, things like that. Yeah.
Well, look, I think one thing we can say with great certainty, the odds are very strong until we're proven otherwise that the Patriots probably have the best chance to get back to the Super Bowl in the AFC. They've been at 3 at the last 4 for crying out loud, and one time it took an historically great Denver defense to stop them. But on the
Steelers, these are probably good. Jacksonville.
But the Steelers are kind of like the Raptors and the Cavs when it comes to they play them, but they can't beat them.
But Jacksonville doesn't know any better just yet.
Right, right. Yeah. I just in basketball, you got 4 games to win. Right. And that's much tougher than catching the Patriots on a bad day like Jacksonville almost did.
Yes, almost did.
So,
but I think we can say with great certainty, they're probably the prohibitive favorite to get back from the AFC. Yeah. But if you had to bet on one, because there are 4 teams in the NFC that think they're all loaded up and ready to roll. It's the Saints, the Rams, the defending champion Eagles, and the Minnesota Vikings. $84 million chips to the table with Kirk Cousins. If you had to bet on one of those teams getting back there, with the moves they've made in the offseason,
in the NFC, there, I like the Saints.
Yeah.
I like the Saints because as many rookies as they drafted last year, their improvement is going to be just from year 1 to year 2. You're talking Ramczyk, the offensive tackle, the safety, the defensive back, Kamara, Marcus Williams, Lattimore. So many good players that they're not rookies anymore. So
Alex
that
Anzalone, the linebacker.
All of that's going to improve for them. Drew Brees is also still playing good football. I mean, is this everybody waiting? Is this the last year he plays good football? But still, it's this year, and he's going to be playing good football also. So I like the Saints in the NFC right now. They look like a good team.
I think they do too. I think the best defense is still Minnesota. You love the moves the Rams made, but you have that great offense in New Orleans, and the defense has played so much better. I can't remember a draft that has hit as well as that draft hit last year.
Oh, for the first
with the number of players,
crazy,
unbelievable how well that hit.
If they
I just think, Kirk Cousins, there may be a little bit of growing pains in there in September.
I agree with that.
I mean, if you struggle in September and you go
home field advantage, you go away pretty quickly,
right? And you're not in that
unless you're the
anymore.
Patriots who've gone 2-2 twice in the last couple of years, and it's worked out just fine.
Works out okay.
Yeah, that's September being an extension of the preseason. Absolutely,
you're the best, brother.
Thanks, man.
Put Bruschi's head on Tom Brady's jacket. You have the ultimate Bond villain. That's exactly. Not this time, Bond. Tedy Bruschi with us in studio. You on NFL Live today?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see you there.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
I'm a one-trick pony. Literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter. When Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la. Aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Golic and Wingo here on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We're hopeful that Tim Tebow of the Binghamton Rumble Ponies will join us in a little bit.
Yes.
We're excited about that. We're going to the Yard Goats game tomorrow night here in Hartford as the Yard Goats, the AA team for Colorado, take on the Rumble Ponies.
Show outing.
Yeah. It's a conference retreat. It's a leadership thing.
We're leading up to the big retreat we're going to have at Pinehurst in June.
It's all about really making the show better. It's team building. It's in no way drinking beer and enjoying a sunny afternoon at a game or playing golf. It's none of those things.
Stop it.
It's about character and understanding what we're doing.
Bite your tongue.
It's about none of those things.
And Jason Fitz, we're hoping to throw out the first pitch, and I'm going to beg for him to bounce it in.
Please do. Just dirt it. Mm-hmm. But just get anywhere. Just don't pull a 50 cent and miss everything.
Yeah.
Worst first pitch
like I said,
ever.
First pitch I did was with the Cubs at Wrigley. Bounce it in, got booed, and deserved it. I deserved it because it said, no matter what you do, do not bounce it. You can sail it, you can airmail it over. Don't bounce it. I bounced it. So let's see if Jason Fitz bounces it.
And again, we've got the big 3-game series tonight, starting between the Red Sox and the Yankees in the Bronx, and of course, it's 1 versus 2. The last time they had the top two records in Major League Baseball when they met was in June of 2002. So it's been a while. And that rejoin had about Giancarlo because he's a different guy on the road than he is at home. 293 on the road batting average, 621 slugging percentage. At home, 176 and 324 slugging percentage. So we got a huge 3-game set coming up tonight between the Red Sox and the Yankees. But wait a minute. We also have big news regarding the Yankees and the Red Sox.
The Yanks of New York and the Red Sox of the traitorous city of Boston will face each other in 2 regular season bouts at the Olympic Stadium in the Queen's favorite city of London. This year? Next year on 29 and 30 June 2019.
Wow.
Chair Bear!
Awesome.
Jer Bear, well done.
Awesome.
Well done.
Awesome.
How about that?
Wait till next week when we have the royal wedding coming up next Saturday.
Yeah.
Jerry's going to be very active with some of the town crier stuff. But wonderful announcement. Yankees and Red Sox in 2019, as Jerry said, on the 29th and 30th. 2 games out there. That's very cool.
Well, if you're a major league team and you're making that trip, you have to play at least 2. I mean, you can't just.
That's exactly right.
So
and along those lines, this could be the biggest reach I've ever seen of all time.
Go for it.
Okay. Here's the headline. Red Sox outfielder Mookie Betts and Meghan Markle, who's marrying Prince Henry, share ancestors, a report says. Prince Harry. I'm saying Henry.
Alan Ovechkin.
Yeah, there
Prince
you go.
Harry.
Mookie Betts, an actress, because she was in the show Suits.
Yeah.
Meghan Markle, soon to be a member of the royal family, could be distant relatives, according to a report by the Boston Globe.
Okay. Take me through this.
Betts and Markle, who is to wed Prince Harry May 19th at Windsor Castle, have ancestors from the same part of Alabama, this said by an amateur genealogist.
Okay.
An amateur.
So let's get this straight.
Yes.
They're said to potentially have ancestors from the same parts of Alabama, according to someone whose job it is not to do this stuff.
He's an amateur.
Yeah.
According to Jim McNiff, a retired college professor who previously traced the roots of New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady back to Boston, found that Betts' great-great-grandfather, Joseph Betts, and Markle's great-great-grandfather, Jacob Betts, were from Madison County, Alabama.
That's it.
And then it says basically his research was inconclusive on whether Jacob and Joseph were related.
So not a lot there, right?
Are you serious?
It seems like we're going down a road just to make something happen.
Now Betts says it would be pretty cool if I were to meet her. I wonder if she's a baseball fan.
Yeah, well, Allie, the show racer, had a great line. If he went up, hey, Princess, I'm Mookie Betts. I'm a Major League Baseball player. And that's wonderful for you. Hold my beer. I'm royalty.
I'm royalty, yeah.
She would definitely, that'd be like Tom and Giselle. Oh, you play quarterback? That's wonderful. I make $35 million a year as a supermodel.
Wow.
Hold my champagne.
Yep.
There we go.
So Meghan and Markle, Prince Harry, May 19th. Again, my wife and daughter will be up watching it. No doubt about it.
There's no chance I'm watching any of it. Golic and Wingo, brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade to shaving with a fresh blade. Whenever you want, for a fraction of the price, join DollarShaveClub.com today. Coming up, we had Al Leiter earlier and spoke about the Met Gala. But next, the Met we're talking to is the most famous ball player on the planet.
AARP can help you become your healthiest self. It's why we offer health tips for your body and your brain. So take on today and every day with AARP. Learn how at takeontoday.aarp.
We're delighted to be joined now on the phone by one of our colleagues and friends, Tim Tebow of the Binghamton Rumblings. How are we, my man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing good. How's the season in Binghamton going?
It's been good, besides about 9 different snowouts and it being really cold. I think we did play like 9 straight games. Either it started snowing before, during, or after the game. So, yeah, it's been cold, but it's been really fun.
So you look
it's been great weather here, though, so we made it perfect just for you guys to come out.
Perfect. It is. It's supposed to be beautiful tomorrow. I know you guys played last night as well. You're sitting there 4th on the team in hits, 2nd in RBIs, hitting .244. You start the league or the season in Double-A. How, according to you, is it going for you?
I think it's going pretty good. Making adjustments. It's been a really good league, a lot of really good players. I think we've had 3 or 4 players from our team already play this year in the bigs, and so it's right there. You're right on the verge, and so for me, I just gotta stay with the process, keep working, try to keep improving, and I think ultimately just be consistent, because that's what baseball is all about. You play 162 games, and we play 150 something, so it's just about being consistent, night in and night out.
Tim, what do you love most about doing this? Because, baseball is different than almost any other sport in like you said, in the sense of the number of games played and sort of the routine that you have to get into. What do you love most about going through this right now?
That's a good question. I think for me, it would probably be two things. I think it would probably be the challenge of going after something so hard, of playing a sport after 12 years in a sport that's really hard if you don't, if you never stop playing something that, if you go 3 for 10, you're in the Hall of Fame. And I think I love that challenge. I love the work of it. I love the process of it. And then I think the second thing would be I love I love competing. I love the battle with the pitcher. I love that, last night, he started me on my first at bat pitching me high inside fastballs, my second at bat changeups, and my third at bat I adjusted, and he came back with an inside fastball, and I had to maneuver back and was able to adjust to it, and so I love that competition. It's fun, and you don't always, you won't always get to do it, but while I get this opportunity, I love being able to compete.
We're talking to Tim Tebow from the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. I mean, I love the name and didn't realize that the Rumble Ponies is because Binghamton is a carousel capital
of the world. Absolutely.
That's right, guys. I see you doing your research. Well, I don't know if y'all did that. Someone gave you that information.
No, this is Timmy. Why. Listen to this.
Timmy, my first TV job was in Binghamton, New York in 1988. Carl Ravitch and I were there at the same time, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're a legend start, man. We're a legend start. I love it.
Well, now that you're there, legend start. Not so much when we were there. We were less than legendary, trust me.
So Tim, along the lines of when you decided I want to play baseball and try this to that day to now, are you further than you thought you'd be? Not as far as you thought you would be? Where are you according to where you wanted to be?
That's a good question. I think I'm in that process. Obviously, it's been a process, and it's not necessarily the easiest thing, but I think that I've made a lot of strides, and I think I'm close to where I want to be. I think, like I mentioned earlier, just about being more consistent every series, home, away, trying to be as consistent as possible. But I think, I've been able to show glimpses of where I can be, and I just got to, try to, put, great at bats together, great games, and great series.
Well, listen, that's the whole point. So as you, in your mind, Tim, where do you see this going for you? I mean, how long do you want to keep trying to go down this road and keep playing?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I kind of got asked that yesterday. Is what would it look like to for this to be success to you? And I think for me, it's a success every day. I get to go do what I love, and I know you guys understand that. Just
absolutely
doing something you love every day. And I think I think the definition of it, if this is a success, is different to everybody. Some people would probably only say if you make it to the big leagues, and but for me, I think it's a success when you get to live out a passion and something that you love every day, something that's on your heart. And so I do that to the best of my ability with everything I have. And if I get the chance to play in the big leagues one day, then that'll just be a bonus. But for me, it's about doing something that I love and being passionate about it. So I've already enjoyed this journey. If it ended now, I would already say that I've enjoyed it, and I will be able to tell my kids about it one day, and it's been an awesome thing to do.
Talking to Tim Tebow, obviously, about his baseball career. He was a two-time national champ at Florida, former NFL quarterback as well. So, touchdown pass, home run. Which have you enjoyed more?
You got to tell me, is it like the end of the fourth quarter, 2-minute drive, or is it bottom of the ninth? What are we talking about here? Give some context.
I just wanted a second quarter touchdown and a home run in the third inning. Just the feeling of it.
Oh gosh, they're both really good. Probably go with the home run right now, though. Maybe that's just because I'm biased and I'm in baseball.
Well, that's totally fair. But Tim Tebow, as you're with us, you're doing something that Major League Baseball wanted to do this year, was get that pitch clock going. They have, the 20, is it 20 or 25 seconds?
20. Yeah.
20 seconds. So how have you adjusted to that? Has that been something that you'd had to think about? Has it been a big part of the process here?
No problem. That's no problem at all. I love it. I think baseball needs to do more things to speed up the game because they got a great sport. It just takes a long time. So if they could take it from a little over 3 hours to 2.5 hours a game, I think that you would have more and more fans enjoying it, coming out there and supporting. And so I'm all in favor of them, making pitchers, speed it up and speed up in between innings and getting the game going as fast as possible.
And along those lines of time of a game, I don't know how many extra innings games you guys have played, but how has it worked with extra innings starting with a runner on second?
Oh, it is so different and unique. And it changes your approach, whether you're going to pinch hit a power guy, try to get a 2-run home run, try to, pinch hit someone that can bunt and get the guy over. So it really, depends on how you want to play, if it's aggressive or not. I love it. I think it speeds it up. It's an adjustment for baseball, and I love it. But I'm also not one of those guys that is a straight, traditional guy of you can't change the rules and you got to play how Babe Ruth played. So I like the adjustments.
All right, Tim. Well, listen, we love you. We're workmates and all that, but we probably got about 15 people coming from our show after the show tomorrow to the game. So I'm not going to lie. We're going to have to be rooting for the Yard Goats, and we're probably going to have to heckle you, just so you know.
That's okay. You know what? I don't think it'll be my first time. Let's be honest about that. There may have been a few people last night that have been saying things that I probably won't repeat to you right now.
Well, the other thing we can probably say with great certainty is we will say nothing original.
No, we won't.
That much we can say, but we will say it with great verve and enthusiasm.
Yes,
that much we promise you.
I love it, guys. Y'all are the best, man. Keep crushing this.
All right,
thanks,
Tim.
We'll
we
see you
appreciate it,
tomorrow.
man. Have a lot of fun. We'll see you tomorrow
man.
at the game.
See you.